Okay, this is the July 12th Green Valley Multimedia SIG for the Camera Club, and we are now working through presentations and so forth. So let's find out who has what to show. Kevin has. Did I see another hand? Okay, and Brian told me he has something if we if we have room for it and time.
I don't think anybody's seen the.
Okay. Anybody have anything to say before we turn this over to Kevin?
I just have a question, and that is, when would we go back into the club for a meeting? I mean, it's open today, but is there? I don't even know who's in charge of this. When would we go back to a live meeting in person?
I don't know.
Well, I believe they're going to keep the club open, try to keep it open Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
What hours?
Mornings, at least.
Oh,
There's been an issue with not enough monitors.
Yeah, I read that.
And GVR says you can't open without a monitor. So I think we could start as soon as there's somebody who's willing to try it, to go to the club and run the multimedia SIG room and try to connect. I mean, we could just try it without actually announcing or anything at first, just to see about working out those technical difficulties.
I think that'd be very smart.
Yeah. With the group of us to be the guinea pigs.
Right. Yeah. So like we could say in-house here, okay, next week, those of you in Green Valley who feel you want to meet at the club live, who are you and will you do that? And let's do it. And somebody there, like, it sounds like Gary might be the person who's a little more aware technically of what has to be done. Do it.
Unfortunately, next week I will be in Cholo.
Okay, so it won't happen. So to answer Phil's question, not next week, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah. And Kevin's going to be in charge next week.
Yeah, I'm hosting, so let's not go down that road. That could be a complete train wreck. Nothing could happen.
Okay.
Right. Okay, but it's hopefully we can have a dialogue. Gary can work on it. Anybody else who's in town that you know?
I'd be happy to also help Gary out at some point whenever he's in town, and if we want to try to go to the clubhouse and try to figure out some of those technical issues before we would actually try to do it live on a Monday, I'd be happy to help you out, Gary.
Okay, yeah, let me spend some time. I'll do some research and we'll see what we need to do at the club to get at least a trial. Good,
excellent, excellent. You know, I've had many sessions with me, myself, and I to you know, with various devices, just to test things out with nobody else. But you could invite somebody else to log in also. Okay, well, Kevin, I think you have something to share with us that should be fun.
Okay. I have got a little departure for me. We're used to my little weird slideshows where I've got still photography and weird music and everything else. This is a behind the scenes look at the photo shoot that I just did up in Grace's neck of the woods 2 weeks ago. And when we're done, I'll need some technical suggestions. Basically, this was all shot with iPhone and GoPro. And you'll see stuff that's done in the car that I'm giving, like running commentary or whatever. And just running the sound, the audio, my voice off of the GoPro. And so you'll hear sometimes some of the roads are a little noisy, and so it's not as good as it should be. So anyway, when we're done, we can talk about that. This is 14 minutes long, so I warn those if you get bored, just tune out, go get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever. So let's try this. We'll see what happens. Oh, Grace, you got to allow me to share screen. There we go. Hang on a second here. I'm looking at, what is all this? Is this what I want? We've got a new thing. I'm looking to see if this is it. Allow Zoom to share your screen. Okay, this is something I've got to do now on my end. Hang on a second, folks. Apparently we have a new version of Zoom. Oh, I've got to quit and reopen. Oh, what is this? Okay, I'm gonna have to quit. I'm gonna probably have to log out and log back in.
Okay, you can do that.
Okay, I'm back. Let's see if I can do this again. Sorry about that, folks. Here we go. All right. And there's that, and there's that. All right, let's watch the show. I get people asking me about doing photo shoots and video shoots and what that is like when you're on the road. So, hey, join me on this road trip and I'll show you what happens, good, bad, and ugly. The first thing that I'm going to need to do is figure out what still photography and video equipment I'm going to need, and then I pull those road cases from storage. So one of the questions I get a lot is, gee Kevin, why don't you fly more? Why do you drive? Well, this is why. We've got all kinds of toys and goodies. In this road case, we've got the video cameras. We've got a couple of video cameras. There's a 4K and a 1080p camera. We've also got a couple external monitors. We've got our lavalier microphones, got some shotgun mics, and a few other goodies. You can see we've got a couple of drones that we take. They're identical. So in case we crash one, which does happen occasionally, it's an expensive mistake, but it does happen. You got another one, you can go right to the bag, and there you go, there's your second drone. We've also got another 1080 video camera that we take and have that as well as another backup. It's always good to have backups. We've got a bunch of lenses in here. There's about 8 lenses, all different sizes. They all have different purposes. We've also got a little Canon 405 video camera. That's nice for working in tight spots. We've got our road case that's got some of the chargers for the drone and some of the cameras. In the yellow case is all the GoPro stuff. So all the mounts and the extra cameras. I've got 3 GoPro cameras that I use for that. And then I've also got my 35mm photography bag. So that's got 3 lenses in it, a couple of bodies. And then we got a couple of tripods, a video tripod and the still tripod. So as you can see, there's lots and lots of stuff. So now what we'll try to do is get all that in the car and we'll see what happens. It's day 1. Got 1,000 miles to drive today. As you can see, my hands are on 10 and 2, trying to be safe. Don't want to get into any trouble. We're just going to rock and roll today. Be putting miles on and get to destination 1 sometime tonight, and away we go. I left Green Valley this morning a little after 5 o'clock, and here it is almost 8 o'clock at night. Driven about 950 miles today, so it's been a long day, but a good day. And the good thing is I will have a short day tomorrow, not nearly as bad as today. I would always rather do that because then that second day, get into the hotel at a more normal time and can get rested up and ready to go for the first day of shooting. Now the other fun is tonight when I get to the hotel here, all the things that are in the car, all that gear that you saw me put in this morning, will all have to come out of the car. Everything has to go up in the room. You can't leave anything in the car. So that's always fun as well, and that routine happens every night and every morning. You have to bring everything out of the hotel room and put it back in the car. So there you go. It's day 2 and I'm back on the road again. Was able to sleep in a little bit. It's 6:30, so a little bit of a later start than I normally would have. Got 467 miles to get to the hotel. So about an 8-hour drive today, 15 yesterday, that's 23 hours of drive. Last night I get to the hotel, quick story. I always love to tell quick stories. Last night I get to the hotel, there are no carts. Now you've seen the amount of gear I have. And so I ask at the front desk, they look on the security cameras, no carts in the hallway. So I tell them I'll go run a couple quick errands, I'll come back about a half hour later, still no carts. They look on the cameras, no carts. They were very kind, they did offer to help, and I said, you don't realize how much stuff I have. So needless to say, I had to carry everything up to the room, and that took 6 trips. Thank God this morning there were carts, and so it only took 2 trips. So that's one of the fun things of being on the road with a bunch of stuff like I've got. Sometimes it's always an adventure.
Your grease, pull that grease gun up just a little higher for me. There you go, good. All right, looks like we got the GoPro all set up, ready to go. You can see I got the whole shot. The wide shot, I can see exactly what the operator sees. I can see his controls and what he's doing. So we'll rock and roll. We'll let him do his thing. The day's almost done. We have had a long, busy day today. Shot lots of footage. We've had the GoPro in the cab, as you saw. We've got the drone going. And that's been great. Got lots of great footage from the air with that. And we got a lot of great footage from the ground too. So the machine's still working. I got a little bit more to do. We're at the end of a hot day. The beer's gonna taste real good tonight. So we're back at the hotel. The work day is done. It was a long, hot, dusty day, and you're thinking, why am I looking at batteries? Well, this is part of the fun. When I get back to the hotel, we have to charge all the goodies from the day. So we have batteries for the still camera, and we have the drone controller, and we've got all the drone batteries. There's 11 batteries that have to be charged for the drone. And we've also got the iPad that we're charging. We use that with the drone, and more drone batteries and GoPro batteries. And then we also have the 4K camera has got its video batteries as well. It's day 2, and you can see the machines are already out here working. We got a great day to shoot again, so that's going to be good. We were out here bright and early, about 6:30 this morning. We already started shooting, so we'll rock and roll today, and then we're heading out, and we'll go to the next location tomorrow. Well, you don't want me to get a phone call in the middle of this? You don't want anybody to get a phone call. Let's go ahead and let's send talk. That's a long one. We have 5 machines here currently, and we may move a couple more in if we get close to the deadline and possibly make it. But we may...
One of the things we're wanting to get is some ground shots here, and we don't want everything to be from the drone because it all looks the same. But the problem is you can't always see the machine, so having to wait for him to come out of the clear, and then we'll get some stuff from the ground. Every night when we get back to the hotel room, besides getting the batteries all charged up for all the cameras, we also have to download all the content from the day's shoot. So in the case of today, We had GoPro, drone, still, and ground video, probably in excess of about 250 gig during the day. All right, it's day 3 of our shoot. As you can see, we are on top of a mountain. We've got the fog rolling in the background, and we got a different machine, obviously different locations, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of stuff we get today. We'll have some fun.
That's nice. AC. That's good. I haven't had it.
Well, the photo shoot is over. I am in the car. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I've got a 2-day drive back to Green Valley. We had a really good shoot. We lucked out. The weather was absolutely perfect. No rain, because that usually can cause a lot of problems for us. So all in all, I'd say everything worked out good. We shot about 600 gigabytes of video and photography, so there'll be a lot of footage and photos to go through when I get back home. It should be fun. It's the end of the 2-day drive, and I'm back in Green Valley and almost home, and very happy about that. It's been a long 7 days, driven 3,600 miles. We had 2 locations, one in Oregon, the other in Washington. Now I'll get the rental car unpacked, the equipment put on the shelves, and then the rental car returned. After that, it's time to get on the computer. We got a lot of work to do there too. One of the other things I learned a long time ago about using rental cars for photo shoots is that they get pretty dirty inside and out from these shoots. So before I return the car back to the rental car company, I usually run it through the car wash, get it all cleaned out inside and out, and that avoids the $250 cleaning charge. Now that we're back home, before we can start on anything else, we need to get all that content from the shoot into the computer so we can work with it. When you see this content going into the computer, it's not actually going into the computer. I've got it going into an external RAID hard drive, and this is one of the drives that I use for video editing. It's a 48 terabyte hard drive, and it's amazing how fast you can fill this thing up. Now that we've got all the content into the computers from the photo shoot, I've got computer number 1, and it's processed all the still and drone photography into JPEGs. We shoot in a RAW format, and the computer will convert everything into JPEGs. The second thing that we have the computer do is ask it to make contact sheets, which you're seeing now. And that puts 30 images on a page. It's got the file number of each image, and the client can look through these, and it makes selection of images much easier. Now I've got the second computer working in Final Cut Pro. We've added the timecode text boxes that you see in the center, and what this does, it allows the client to view the interview with the customer, and then they can tell me what time to start a certain clip and then what time to end. You've got 2 boxes. The first box is the source box. The second box is the camera and the serial number of the camera. In the source box, it's showing you the time in hours, minutes, seconds, and also frame number, which is the last number. We'll generate a low-res file for the client with this text on the screen. From there, they can tell me exactly what clips they want to use in the video, and I can go right to the source code and find that section of time, and away we go. One of the other things I have to do at the end of the shoot is go through all my receipts from the road trip. So I'll have receipts for gas, food, hotel, rental car. I need to organize all those, and then those are added to the invoice for the client. Well, we're just about wrapped up with this portion of the photo shoot. I'm taking a hard drive, which I've loaded all the content on, and I'm going over to UPS. I'm going to be sending this off to the client in Illinois, and then he can start looking at all the photos and the video. From there, in a couple of weeks, I'll be working on editing from this project. He'll look at stuff, tell me what clips he wants, what he doesn't want, and we'll probably put anywhere from 3 to 4 videos together from this shoot. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this behind-the-scenes look at a photo shoot, what all goes on, from the driving to the equipment to the fun that we have. I really enjoy doing this kind of work, and if I didn't enjoy it, I would not be doing it. So thanks again, everybody. There we go.
Wow, is all I can say.
Good job.
Well, thank you. It was fun
We
to
have a
do.
lot of fun.
We do have a lot of fun, you know.
Must have a lot of energy, Kevin. High
Well-
energy person. That's great.
Well, at my age now, the body does not recover as fast as it used to 20, 30 years ago on these photo shoots. So this one, at least being a 3-day photo shoot, was not bad. But when they start getting up 5 days and more, it's tough mentally. You have to really put your mind to, okay, it's day 1. Okay, I'm done. 4 to go. Now it's, day 2, day 3, day 4. So anyway, but we try to have fun. I mean, if it's not fun, why are we doing it? I mean, if we can't laugh and tell some jokes, or when we're done at the end of the day, go have some beers and some food and tell some, we've always got these horror stories and things that didn't go right, from issues with equipment, be it what we're shooting, or travel, and missing flights and whatever else. So it's always fun to kind of tell those stories over some beers.
Would you send that file to us so that we can add it to the multimedia portion of the website?
You bet. I will definitely do that for you, and I'll put it up on the cloud and send it to you. And then I also have put it up on YouTube as well. So
Great.
I can send a link for people that want to see it again or whatever.
Oh yeah, a link to the YouTube would be great.
You bet.
Yeah.
Now, Susan always tells me that, gee, we can't leave until the car's full, huh? I think you've got that crown now.
Well, the funny thing is, since this was an outdoor shoot, you don't have to bring any light stands or lights or anything else. If you're doing something where you're going to start doing interviews indoors, and I knew we would be doing all these interviews outdoors. Otherwise, I would have had to bring another road case with the lights and the stands and everything else, so it becomes even more of a production. So, you just, and part of it too is, Brian, I could fly for these photo shoots, but I would only bring one drone. I would only bring one video camera. You have to limit the amount of equipment you bring, because the excess baggage is the killer for any of these shoots. Anymore now at the airlines, like bag 1 is $25, bag 2 is $35. Well, everything after that is $150 a pop, and that's each way. So if you've got, if I'm traveling light, maybe I've got 6-7 cases, I'm running up $1,000 bill each direction on excess baggage. So, and then you have to worry about, is the equipment going to show up? I've had shoots where stuff has not shown up, and I can tell horror stories about that too. So, anyway, it's just one of those things where you end up saying, all right, when I'm driving, I can bring extra gear, I can have my backups, and if something happens, like the drone crashes, then I can just go get the other drone. We don't miss a beat. So it makes it very nice.
Well, how long have you been doing this kind of photography?
Well, I've been a quick, brief Reader's Digest. After college, I was an assistant for a photographer in Peoria, Illinois for 6 years. And he was a still photography person. So I was his assistant for 6 years, and then I've been out on my own for 32 years now. Now, I've only been shooting video for about 6 years. So up to this point, everything was stills. the thing that changed it for shooting video, I mean, like year 1 or year 2, I'd have people saying, "Are you going to shoot video?" And it's like, hell no, it's so expensive. Phil knows this. If you look back at the days of like the Sony Beta cams and all of that, you would drop 45,000 on the camera, and then you drop another 30,000 plus on a lens. Well,
that would be cheap, Kevin.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and go back to the days even of like an Avid editing system back in the day, where you're what, $250,000 for what we now do on our computers here. So insane amount of money. Canon came out with their video cameras, strictly video cameras, and that's what you saw me using. And they did that about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And so the thing that's nice is all my Canon still lenses work on those Canon video cameras. So you're buying the camera, you're saving a buttload of money on lenses, not having to buy a bunch of additional stuff. So that made a big difference in it. So anyway, now pretty much most of these shoots are video shoots. We have a little bit of still photography that we do on them. But gosh, I haven't done just a straight still shoot in years. So it's pretty much all this multimedia thing. And I would always tell some young person, if they wanted to be a photographer, you better know how to do other stuff besides just still photography, because that business is going away. You better know how to shoot video. You better know how to edit. You better know how to do special effects, After Effects, you know, stuff like that. It's
I think it's all gone. Don't you, Kevin? I think the still business is over.
Pretty much.
Because everybody's shooting on an iPhone, and I can do that. Why do I want to hire you? Video is a different story. But thank you for that. I thought it was excellent, and it reminded me why I don't do that anymore. 30 years was enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny because I always take everything out of the car, and my wife wants to shoot me as we take all of those cases up to the room, but you got to do it.
Yep. Yeah, you can't come out the next day and have the car broken into and even leave a tripod in the car. So everything has to come out at the end of the day, and it's the whole process. And like you saw in the video, with my getting to the hotel and they don't have any carts, and it's like, oh my God, you know, to take 6 trips up to the 4th floor of the hotel with all that stuff is a real pain in the butt. So anyway, the next morning when I saw carts, I was like, yay!
Kevin, have you thought about a collapsible cart that you'd take with you in the car?
I do have a cart that is collapsible. You know, I look at that as I've already got enough crap that I'm taking that at some point it's like, okay, I have taken that on some shoots. A lot of this stuff, like that big road case that I have that's got all the camera stuff, Gary, that bad boy has to weigh at least 80 or 90 pounds. It is not light.
Yeah.
And so you start stacking 3, 4, 5 cases on that, even a small cart, you're going to wear that thing out or break it at some point. It's been a long time since I've had an issue with not having a cart at a hotel. So usually there's a cart, and I love those real big carts are even better. So it's something I will do maybe locally if I'm going to do something and not have a lot of stuff. But yeah, there has to be a limit at some point. I mean, you can bring so much crap. You fill up, you know, if you have like I had an Equinox car that I rented this time, or SUV. Well, I could fill that thing up. If I had an Explorer or an Expedition, well, hell, I could put more stuff in that. Well, you start saying, okay, that's too much. I got enough stuff I'm bringing.
Yeah.
You're not ready to leave until the car is full.
Or multiple times.
Parts at the hotel is one thing. I found that, you know, doing on location work, many times the client wouldn't have any way of getting equipment into the building, or even if shooting outdoors where I wouldn't need light stands, et cetera. So, and of course, music gigs, you know, you got amps and all kinds of music cases and things to, you know, PAs. It's, I found it really helpful, but you're right. Unless you get a cart that really will hold up, they fall apart after a while pretty shortly.
Sure. Well, I know from my still days, Gary, that I've got a really nice foldable mag liner cart, which is, you can put 1,000 pounds on that bad boy, and I still have the cart.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to go somewhere where I know, or possibly any sort of a business, if I would have to go in, I'll take that cart and load everything on that. But for these outdoor gigs, there's really no sense in doing like anything like that, because you're basically working out of the vehicle in terms of, you know, get the drone, okay, now let's get the big camera, okay, and you just kind of go from there.
Were you in both Washington and Oregon on that shoot? Did we see parts of both?
Yeah, the shoot, the second half of that shoot where you saw me up in the fog and the trees was up north of Olympia, Washington, up on the peninsula there. And it was misting a little bit, which is not horrible in terms of electronics and equipment. If it starts to rain, then the umbrellas come out, and we've got to hold umbrellas over the cameras and stuff to keep them dry. So anyway, we really did luck out on weather. No issues. Rain is usually the biggest headache for us. And if it gets too muddy, if machines are working, a lot of times the shoot is done for the day. The machines can't work. So anyway, it worked out really well.
If you're staying in a hotel multiple nights, are you still taking everything out of the hotel room and putting it back in the car rather than trusting?
I would say 90% of it, Susan, is going in every day. Now, obviously your suitcase or
your clothes, who cares?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I will leave that. But even like my laptop bag, I'm bringing that on location because sometimes I might have to do something in the cab, some still photography where I'm mounting my 35mm camera and I'm running a cord down to the laptop, and then I can remotely fire that camera that way. So yeah, for the most part, I'd say it's just the drill. You get used to it.
That's what we do. Even just stopping to go in to eat is a whole nother adventure. Do you trust the car? What we've taken to doing, we just bought a simple, inexpensive black sheet.
Yep.
So we can create a smooth, non-descriptive, nobody can tell what's back there.
Yeah, I've got I do the same thing. I've got an old army blanket and I put it over the road cases. And usually if I'm just traveling like I was doing here, you're stopping at a truck stop for 5 minutes. You're not too worried about having some issue. But certainly if you're going to stop for the night, then everything.
And we always empty our vehicle.
Yeah. Better safe than sorry.
Hey, Kevin, I've traveled with a couple of National Geographic guys, and what they do is really interesting. They use food coolers. They don't use pelicans, ever show it. They just use these, and I started doing that, and it's people look in the car or plane or whatever, and they go, oh, that's just food. And inside of it is, $1 million worth of stuff.
Sure. That's an interesting idea. I know some still guys that will use suitcases, just actual suitcases, instead of camera bags.
Right.
Kind of the same idea. That's one of the other things. That's another discussion for another day. But you can't lock any road cases anymore when they go on the plane. And used to be you could put a lock on something that was really valuable. You can't do that anymore with TSA. The one workaround that I've done with that is I'll use in a road case, I'll put a note, I'll zip tie the road case like the Pelican, so it's zip tied shut, and then I will put a note inside, so if TSA decides they have to look and see what's in there and they cut the zip ties, I have a note that says, TSA, please attach these zip ties back on the case. And I've got a couple zip ties that are taped to that paper. So that's been a nice workaround, and I've had that happen a couple of times. But with driving, it makes life so much easier.
Well, my experience, LAX is the worst place for lost equipment. I lost two $5,000 video recorders in LAX like a month apart.
Oh, God.
Because it's in the Hollywood area and the equipment can be sold readily on the black market. And so if you have stuff traveling through LA, they're just going to steal it.
I know our biggest issue has always been back when I lived in Peoria, is you're always making a connection somewhere. And that was always the issue of, it wasn't a direct flight from Peoria to Los Angeles. It was always, okay, we're flying to Chicago, then we're going to LA. And so when there's that possibility of transfer of stuff, that's when stuff doesn't make the next plane, and you start to have issues show up and there's no gear or partial gear. I had that happen in Canada about 3 years ago, and I got to the final destination, and all I had was the bag that I was carrying. And I was supposed to fly in a company plane to this diamond mine up in northern Canada the next day. Air Canada's like, oh, we don't know where the gear is. And it's like, great, what, I can't get on this plane. I don't have all the gear. So anyway, lucked out, and everything did show up the next day before I got on, literally an hour before I got on the company plane. So that stuff will happen. Now, as a quick goodie, and this is my technical question to everyone, you heard the GoPro stuff in the car, and some of the roads are not as smooth as they are where it's asphalt. You get some of that pebbly stuff, and it's really loud inside. Now, my only thought was, okay, do I want to put a lavalier mic on myself and then feed that into, let's say, one of the smaller cameras so I'm getting a cleaner sound? I think that's probably my only solution, unless somebody else has an idea that they think would be better with a GoPro.
I would leave it like it is. We would leave it like it is, because the ambient road noise, you're in a car, you're on a road, you're driving, it wasn't that noticeable. And I think it works better than totally taking out all the noise, and it sounds like you've dubbed in your voice in a studio later. So leave it like it is. That's our vote.
I would.
Kevin, the pros would do it with a lav and double system. As an example, look at Jerry Seinfeld's internet series on driving with comedians to get coffee. Yep. Those are all mic'd. It's a double system. The recorder guy is literally in the back of the car. And so it's double system sound. But I agree with Brian. I thought it sounded fine.
Okay. Well, I know I had to run a little bit of noise reduction in my Final Cut just to knock some of it down, but it also then, I thought, distorted my voice at times a little bit, and I wasn't real happy about that, but I know it is what it is.
Well, I heard the distortion, but I just thought it was because of the ambient noise. But I did hear the distortion. Yeah, you're right.
So I think that was, Phil, I think that was from running that little bit of noise reduction, because I can dial it up or down, but then it's hearing that maybe there was excess road noise, so it kind of distorts my voice a little bit.
It just wasn't as crisp as some of the other sound, but I think it sounded fine, really, and it gave the idea that you're in this car.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, I think we all want everything to be perfect and sound. We're going to go to all the trouble to do all this. We want it to be good, and it's one of those things where 99% of the people may not hear it, but somebody else would see it and go, oh my God, that sucks. That guy's horrible. What is he? They're paying him to go do photography and video, and he sucks. He can't even get his voiceover right.
Your off-script narration was excellent.
Yeah.
It was very well done.
Yeah,
well, thanks.
It was obvious that you made a decision before you started this trip that you were going to do this particular video of behind the scenes. So you had it planned out, which was excellent, I thought. So another question I have is, before you go on one of these shoots, what do you get from Caterpillar as to what they want that you need to shoot?
Sure. We will get a shot list. The good thing is, after all these years of doing this for them, it really is the same. They kind of will go through this formality of, yeah, we know you know what to do. There's, just as an example, when COVID was going on last year big time, my Caterpillar people could not travel with me. I was going by myself to these photo shoots. And so they trust me after all these years that I'm going to get them what they need. But I will get a printed document that's got shots that they're looking for, and it's basically the same thing. If we're doing, like, you saw the guy doing the grease gun, and he's greasing the thing. Well, we do like these servicing shots, and there's only so many servicing shots they can do. They can grease, they can check fluids, you know, pull the dipstick out, do all this stuff. So after a while, you know what these shots are, and it does help, though, to have a shot list and kind of go through it at some point, and you start checking things off. And what did we miss something? Because I'm very ADHD, and you know, oh, there's a squirrel over there, and then I'm off looking at the squirrel or whatever. So at some point, it does help me to have that shot list and go through it at times.
So in normal times, Caterpillar provides you with some people on site, or?
Yeah, we will have, usually there's a client that is from Caterpillar, that the guy that you saw doing the interviews in the video, he's the client. Then we also have a product expert that's there. And so if there's any issues that are going on with the machine, or in the case of some of these machines, they call them field follow machines. So what Caterpillar does is they've gone through their rigid testing back in Illinois or wherever they're doing their testing. Now they're giving them to the customer and saying, here, you run it in a real world situation. They've got data extractors that are extracting all the data from the machine the engineers look at. And if there's any issues when we're there, the engineer will address those issues. They might hook up a laptop and download new software or whatever it happens to be. So traditionally, I would say there's at least 2 other people besides me at minimum. I've had more. Sometimes it might be 3 or 4 people on the shoot. It depends on how important the project is or whatever.
So, but are any of those 3 or 4 people helping you step and fetch the gear and haul it around?
They will. Yeah, they would definitely help me. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like I'm, you know, out there on my own, and, you know, they'll always offer to help and stuff. A lot of times it takes longer to explain to them what you want. Like if it's a piece of equipment that you need them to get for you out of the car, it's easier just to go get it. You know, I could talk to them for 10 minutes and they come back with something. No, it's the thing next to that, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, it works out good. And then it's also, I feel very fortunate. These people are really great people to work with and also have a lot of fun. So to me, it's have fun, get good shots. When you get back now, put together some good videos that everybody likes and gets the message across that they want to get across. And so anyway, I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun.
So do they expect certain lengths of videos and certain, I mean, you're putting together different kinds of videos for them out of this shoot?
Yeah, we're out of this shoot. We're going to do at least 3 videos, possibly 4. And videos, Caterpillar likes to keep their videos under 2 minutes, 2 minutes or less, because they found through their analytics that unless it's something that's really important, people are tuning out. So if you make a 4-minute or a 5-minute video, you start to lose your audience at some point if they're not interested. And I can show you, if I can pull this up here, I can show you what the script is going to be for this first video. Hang on, I'll share the screen. And it'll show you the, here we go. So basically, if you see on the left side, now where you've got the text here, so it's telling me, okay, here's the shots I want to start with, what I want the machine doing, and then here's the text that I want to have on screen for this particular section. And so basically they will give me this kind of a script. And like I said, I've been doing it now for so long, it really is very easy to look at these scripts and see what they want to do. And I will rough up the video. They'll take a look at it. They'll see what changes they want to make. And that process goes back and forth maybe a couple of times, Grace. And then from there, they're done, and then we're on to the next video.
And this is after they've looked at everything and they've sent you the identifiable clips that they want in it.
For this one that I just showed you, no, they won't look at any of that footage. But for the testimonial video, where the guy's standing up talking about stuff, I've already sent them that time code file, and they will tell me exactly what things they want that person saying and give me that time code. And then I'll incorporate that into a video, and away we go. So, I mean, it's for the most part, I mean, they make it very easy for me because they kind of let you know what you want. And then, like I said, after you've done it for a number of years now, you just kind of know the drill, and you start putting it together, and away you go.
Wow. Thank you.
Well, you bet. Well, you know, for as I said, I try to keep my videos short. So at 14 minutes, I was like, oh my God, people are going to think this is horrible and tune out.
It was not a 14-minute video.
No. It was, you kept our attention the whole way through.
Well, that's good. Well,
the car wash.
Well, there you go. Well, see, those are all things that people don't think about. You just think, oh, you get a rental car. The engineer on this last shoot was telling me he got dinged 2 trips ago for the rental car was all muddy and stuff from the shoot, or from his being out with the machine, and he got dinged $250. Well, you got to explain that to your boss as to why is the vehicle, what's this extra charge for, $250. So as time goes on here, we learn all these tricks. It definitely makes things better. Do
you always use rental cars?
I do now. I definitely do now. It's so much easier. As an example, last year, I normally would do about 50,000 miles a year driving. Last year, from May until the end of the year, I did 30,000 miles. So to put that on my company vehicle, you're going to run through a car, God, in 5 years or 6 years. So probably over the last, since I started shooting video, I'd just go out to the airport, get a car, boom, away you go, you come back. And it's cheaper to rent a car, pay the gas, than it is to fly and then have all that excess baggage issue. So,
unless you bought a plane.
I've got a story about that. Not by me, but by a video guy back in the day that had a plane, and that was his big ploy, was he would get all these customers to fly on his plane. He had a 6-passenger plane, and that was his big ploy of hire me, everybody can fly with me, it'll be way cheaper, and away we go. The guy was a complete a-hole though, so I flew with him once, and that was the end of that. I was like, okay, no more. And actually, Susan, we get together for beers, I can tell stories.
I bet.
Actually, Holly, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've spent almost an hour doing this. It would probably make a good speaker series presentation.
Yep.
Thanks for volunteering, you right, Kevin?
I'd be happy to do it.
Yes, it would.
Yes, it would.
Very much. Yeah, Kevin, what do you think?
I'd be happy to do it, Holly.
Right now, we're still thinking of Zoom for speaker series.
Sure.
So that would be great. I wonder if, Grace, you could probably tell us if we could do like a presentation by Kevin Zoom and then have discussion facilitators come on that, most people would just kind of watch probably. They could submit their questions by chat, and also have some facilitators for the discussion, like us, all of us.
Well, like we've been doing, we've been each of us asking questions and so forth, if the other people don't, which have brought out a lot more information, Kevin. than
Now,
what
the
you
thing
do.
that would be interesting though is this is interesting to us because we're all kind of in multimedia or photography club or whatever. Is the general public that sees speaker series, are they gonna be
Speaker
bored?
series it serves as the monthly meeting for the membership for Camera Club.
Oh, okay.
And then recently we just opened it to anybody who was GVR if they wanted to attend, but mostly it's Camera Club members. And the focus is always photography or something of interest to photographers.
Okay.
On the road with
Good.
a one road
Right.
with a pro.
Yeah, well, be thinking of a great title.
Well,
October, mid-October will be our first one, the third Thursday.
Yeah.
it also works because
I was
this
going to
is
go over to the Camera Club. I think today was going to be the first day they were going to open in the morning. Has anybody heard much about that?
Just that they've had trouble getting enough monitors, and they're looking at just going Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but today would be Monday, so it should be open.
So to finish my thought, Holly, because it is a presentation about multimedia, you can describe how, yes, he has an enormous setup and it's very complicated. He does it for a living, but in terms of multimedia, almost everybody in multimedia is doing the same thing, just on a much smaller scale. And by participating in multimedia, you can learn the tricks and tips of the trade to help make your video better. So maybe as a mechanism to help draw more people into the SIG.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more the merrier, because I love seeing what people are doing. And by the way, next week I am hosting this, and please, 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 somebody have something to share. I need your help. Grace is carrying the load. I got to carry the load next week. So,
Right. Well, Brian has said they have something they can.
yay!
No, it's old video.
Yeah, it's old video, but we are working on a new one, wrestling mightily with the music at this point, but hopefully we'll try to have something for you.
That would be great.
Of course, Brian would like to see your gear locker.
Well, you're more than welcome to come over to the house, and I do have a lot of toys. So over the years,
Do you worry about the heat in the garage affecting your gear?
Doesn't short of the batteries. I mean, that's really about the only issue that I see. The gear doesn't care. The camera doesn't care if it's hot, and it's
Well, they always say not to leave your cell phone in the car, so because of electronics.
Yeah, well, that's usually an issue of if the cell phone gets too hot or too cold, it shuts down.
So if it's already shut off, then
yeah, it doesn't. It's not going to affect anything.
Okay.
Yes, but I could share some photos and video back in the day when I had a studio in Peoria, and the amount of gear I have now is nothing compared to what I had back then. So
wow.
yeah, doing still photography, and back in the days of film, for those of us that remember film, and we'd shoot 8x10, 4x5 film, Hasselblad. I still have the Hasselblad with a digital back that I use and stuff, but we don't, like Phil said, the still photography is really, it's a shame. It's on its way out, and clients want video, electronic media. That if you talk to anybody that's under 30, they're not going to look at a brochure like we would back in the day. You know, they're going to look at their iPhone or an iPad or on the computer to see the content. So this business has always been about adapt and change. And so to think of going from the days of film to then shooting digital, now to shooting video, it's amazing how that has gone about. So over, like I said, probably almost 40 years now. So anyway, it is interesting, definitely.
Kevin, I see you bought a C300. Are you shooting in 4K?
Yes, sir.
But you're downscaling it to 2K.
I'm editing in 1080. Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I do too. I've just I thought everybody wants that now.
Yeah, you know, really, just as a quick discussion about that, if stuff's just going up on YouTube, it could be 720. I was shooting 1080 before I got the 4K camera, and I would run it at 720, and everything looked great. Now, if you were going to have a trade show and they were going to produce it and have it 50 foot wide, you better have 4K at a minimum, and probably have 8K as a matter of fact. So,
you know, I told the story before, but I did an industrial for a company, mining equipment company, and they demanded 4K. So we shot it all in 4K, shot the drone in 4K, shipped it off to an editor in Minneapolis. He shipped it to Las Vegas to the trade show. And so I asked him later, how was it? He said, oh, it was great. He said, I shipped it in 2K. They didn't even know the difference.
there you go.
So, you know, you never know.
Yeah. I think it's a thing where we're as video people or photography people, we're probably more critical than the general public would ever be, or even a client necessarily, unless they were fairly educated in it, would look at it and say, oh, geez, that looks horrible. What, you shot that in 2K, Phil? What the hell is this?
Right.
Instead, it's like they look at it and go, oh, God, the machine looks great, or this looks great, and they're all excited about what's going on. So
well, I asked the client later, because they had big screens and projection and all that in their trade show booth. And I said, well, how did it look? Oh, that 4K looks so good. I couldn't believe it. It was a joke.
Nice.
We never told them.
No.
That's probably a good thing, too.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Well, hey, this has been an absolutely fascinating discussion and everything. Thank you so much, Kevin, for providing the behind the scenes.
You bet. Happy to do it. Well, and the good thing is if I do it again, which I may at some point, I've learned a few tricks on this one, so we'll try to tweak it up just a little bit and make it even better.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, everybody.
Series, we'll use the new improved version, but this one was great.
Okay.
No worries.
So I'm going to stop the recording now, and we're off until next week.